10 years ago, I had a bustling pediatric practice and multiple significant leadership roles in my institution. I had been married to my high school sweetheart for 25 years. He was a lawyer, I was a doctor. We had 3 kids, a house, and a dog. I thought that things were going pretty well, despite being busy. It turns out they were not. Unbeknownst to me, my husband had been sliding into a deep depression. I had been taught in medicine to solve problems, especially other people's problems. So that's what I did. I read endlessly. I researched the data, the evidence. I tried to fix, manage, and control every single moving piece. I had been taught in medicine that control was safety and effort was caring. How can I fix this? What can I do to mitigate harm, eliminate regret? How can I make sure that absolutely everything turns out okay? Well, it turns out if that's what I was hoping for, I was asking the wrong questions. This was not my fault. Medicine taught me to ask questions like this. And if you're in medicine, you were taught this too. We were taught to almost exclusively lean into logic, data, research, and the evidence. Weigh the risks and benefits, assess the pros and cons, and if the stakes were high, leave our emotions out of it. Our emotions could cloud our judgment. What if this is not true? What if we have been trying to solve complex human problems, especially in healthcare, without the very thing that makes us human? Emotions. What if it's not more data, more research, more evidence, and more effort that's needed, but more heart? About 2 years in, things got so bad, I took time off of work. Those of you in healthcare know that when a physician takes time off of work, it means that everything has already fallen apart. I did what women physicians, and those especially who grew up in Berkeley, do when they have no idea what else to do. I went to yoga. On my mat that day, the teacher invited us to bring our hands to our heart, close our eyes, pause, and breathe. For the first time in a very long time, I slowed down. With my eyes closed, I stopped scanning outside myself for solutions. With my hands on my heart, I finally got quiet enough to listen. It turns out that our hearts have wisdom that our minds do not have access to. On the surface, we looked like an overstretched family in the busy season of life with a mental health diagnosis pushing us over the edge. But underneath, in the quiet, it was clear that something much deeper was going on. In that stillness, a question arose, an unusual question, one I had never considered before. What would love do? This question brought surprising clarity and a deep sense of peace and calm, an unfamiliar space for me to be in. In this space, I was able to recognize something I had never seen before. My husband was neurodivergent, and we were in a neurodiverse relationship. Now, I am a pediatrician who diagnoses autism all the time, and yet I had been unable to recognize it in my home or in my own husband. I had not missed it or been in denial. I had simply been using the wrong lens and asking the wrong questions. I believe in healthcare these days, we are using the wrong lens and asking the wrong questions much of the time. Disconnection, conflict, and exhaustion are the norm in healthcare, sadly. Why? What might be the missing link? The very thing that we were taught to leave out of our decision-making in healthcare. Love. Now, this is not the butterflies of falling in love. It's not the ephemeral moments in a rom-com. Not even my secret love of Diet Coke. Love as an emotion is grounded. It is honest. It's authentic. It's vulnerable. It's courageous. It's direct, and it's kind. Catastrophizing and making decisions from fear and guilt and scarcity, they're often mislabeled as loving, but they are not loving. Neither is martyrdom, self-sacrifice, or hypervigilance. They're something else entirely. Love as a practice, just like the practice of medicine, is committed to doing no harm. The beautiful thing is that when you make decisions from this place of love, you do not ignore the data, the research, and the evidence. Your brain refines them and weaves them in thoughtfully and seamlessly into your decision-making and problem-solving. Rarely do you regret decisions made from this place of love. So these days in my life, as a mom of young adults, as a mother-in-law, as a grandmother of 3, as the daughter of aging, declining parents, and as a physician, and as a leader, and as a business owner, I use this question, what would love do, literally all the time. And when I ask it, I do it like I did that day. I bring my hands to my heart, I close my eyes, I pause, and I breathe. This is because this is not actually just a woo-woo yoga thing. There's science behind these actions and this way of asking the question. When you place your hand on your heart, you release oxytocin, the love, connection, and safety hormone. When you place the top hand on the bottom hand, skin to skin, you lower the cortisol in your saliva. When you close your eyes and take a breath, you activate your parasympathetic nervous system. And in this state of relative calm, your brain has access to your amygdala, the emotional processing center of your brain. The decisions you make from this state are honest and they are aligned. So, in case you don't believe me, let's practice now. Bring your hands to heart and close your eyes. And take a moment to think of a challenge. Potentially a career choice, a leadership decision, maybe a patient care decision, maybe a decision about whether to take a day off or fit in a late patient. Or maybe it's about your life outside of medicine. It doesn't matter. The question works for all of these. When you're ready, take a breath. And ask yourself, what would love do? Love for you first and always. Love for the others involved. And love for the greater world. Notice the shift, perhaps an inner knowing, a truth-telling. You very well might not like what bubbles up here. It is unlikely to be tidy, but it is always true. The quality of the questions that you ask and the emotions behind them determines the quality of the answers that you receive. So if your eyes are still closed, now is a good time to open them. And if you want to learn more about what happened in my family and my story, I encourage you to listen to my full TEDx talk, What Would Love Do? The most powerful question we are not asking. For today, I want to leave you with 2 invitations. Number 1, I learned about a movement in Vietnam from a fellow Vietnamese physician, colleague, and friend. This movement is that hospitals be houses of love by 2030. I hope that we decide to join that movement. And I invite you, at least as an individual physician, one by one, we can start with ourselves. Number 2, I invite you to consider, what would healthcare be like if our leaders and physicians paused, closed their eyes, placed their hands on their hearts when faced with a challenging decision, a difficult problem, and asked themselves, what would love do? Medicine would be a much more caring, functional, and healthy space.